cover here. So when we are talking about Amazon storage choices, we have typically four different options that are available to you. That is, on the extreme left-hand side, you have the Amazon S3 storage. That is what we are going to look at today in depth. And you also have the Glacier storage, which is an archival storage mechanism. And you also have the block storage, which is the elastic block storage, that is EBS volumes here. And finally, you also have the option of elastic file systems, that is you're similar to your NFS. We will look at them later in the classes, but today we are going to take a deep dive into Amazon S3 itself. So when we are talking about S3 or storage, the bottom part of the information that you are seeing now is very, very important. The reason that is, whenever we are talking about a cloud storage, we are not going to all of a sudden create all the data in the cloud. You will have some amount of data in your on-premise environment, or your customer will have some data, and you need to bring that data into the cloud. So there are multiple ways of moving the data into the cloud. Quite often there are interview related questions or exam related questions on moving the data from on-premise to cloud. So on the bottom of your slide is the different type of transfer mechanisms, data transfer mechanisms that is available to you, or options available to you. The direct connect is nothing but a VPN connection between your on-premise and cloud. That allows you to move small amounts of data, let us say about a few gigabytes. But when you are looking at hundreds of gigabytes, then you need to look at a Snowball, which is nothing but a drive shipping, or you take your own hard disk and then send it to Amazon, they will import it to you. Or you can also ask Amazon to send a hard disk to you, in which you can copy your data and send it back. But this is again a few gigabytes. But if you are really talking about terabytes and petabytes of data that needs to be moved, you need to use a service called Snowmobile, which is a truck full of data. This is third-party vendors which you can contract for moving the data. And Amazon Kinesis is your fire hose, or in other words, to move your streaming data. So just remember them, because some of these services you will not use in your real time or in your professional career or when you move into a AWS role. But if you are looking at an interview, or if you are looking at an exam or a certification exam, definitely there's one or two questions 100% on data migration, because it is one of the biggest pain points that the industry is facing when they are shifting from on-premise to cloud. So these are the different options. And transfer gateway is, the transfer acceleration is nothing but if you pay Amazon a little bit more money, they will allow you to upload your data at a faster bandwidth through multiple connections. So that's what transfer acceleration means. And finally, the storage gateway is nothing but your on-premise and your cloud will be connected through a special VM provisioned by Amazon, and you can directly copy your data to S3 buckets or EBS volumes. So these are the different mechanisms available for you to transfer the data. So let us go ahead and look at what makes S3 a fantastic storage option in the cloud and why everybody is using that. The most important thing is S3 allows you to grow without limits, meaning the amount of data you can store in S3 is, there is no limit there. There is no hard limit saying that this is the amount of data that you can store in S3. And S3 itself is designed for about 11 nines of durability. There is sometimes a question on this also in the certification exam, but increasingly that becomes less. In other words, 11 nines of durability. Now, so what it means is you don't have to back up your data. You don't have to have multiple copies, because the failure is 1 in a million options that might happen to your data. So given that scenario, people stop using multiple copies, triplicate copies, data duplication, and all those kind of things are removed from your headache and management. And finally, all this flexibility is given to you at a very low cost per GB of storage that you store in Amazon. And there is no upfront commitment. Say, for example, you are going to upload about 100 GB of data to Amazon for some processing. Let us say big data processing. And after 1 or 2 months, you have stopped, completed the processing, and you delete all your data. You will be charged only for 1 month. If you compare it to on-premise, you will buy the storage, you will provision it, And after the activity is completed, you will still have the data, the disks in your data center, and somebody will have to maintain it, or it will be sitting idle in your data center. So the upfront cost of investing in those huge disks is not going to go waste when you're coming to the cloud, because there is no commitment and there is no upfront cost for you. Likewise, there are a lot of security options is available. For example, you can do encryption, and you can do access management by using RBAC, that is role-based access control. And you also can have access logs to see who is accessing your buckets or storage objects that you store here. And it is not only few type of objects that you can store in Amazon S3. It can be anything. It can be a Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, or it can be your CSV. It can be your database dump. It can be your operating system dump, or a snapshot of your operating system, or your application binaries. It can be any file. It can be movie file. It can be media file, photos, JPGs, anything. So given this flexibility of the type of objects that you can store, and then the redundancy built with it and the security built with it, this is one of the fastest growing Amazon services as on today, and a lot of customers are using it. Customers like Airbnb use it quite often to store high resolution images of their hotels. And if you think of Netflix, they use very high resolution of actors, directors, movie posters, and all those things in S3 itself. There are other features, for example, event notification. What it means is, if somebody is uploading an object to your bucket, we are going to use the term bucket here. We are not going to use directories anymore. When it comes to Amazon S3, we are going to store objects in buckets. So when somebody is uploading an object into your bucket, then you can trigger a notification. Or anybody is deleting an object, you can trigger a notification. So any of the CRUD operations, create, read, update, or delete, you can trigger a notification from Amazon S3. It's a very fantastic feature, because any malicious user trying to cause some unwarranted changes to your bucket, then you can get notified. Or if you want your customers to upload your objects to your bucket, and you want to be automatically notified so that you can do some processing, that is also possible. You can do that. Finally, cross-region replication is nothing but, if you want to copy that, let us say your developers are in India and then your testers are in the US, so that you need to copy your data from India to US automatically. Then in that case, you can use cross-region replication also. So data that has been updated in one region will automatically get synchronized with another region using this feature. I'll show a demo of each and every one of the items that is shown here. That is event notifications, the cross-region replication, and you can also monitor your these two items will work together. Say, for example, if you have an event notification, you can have CloudWatch to trigger an alert saying some malicious user has deleted a file which should not have been deleted. And using CloudTrail, you can find out who has deleted it, at what time they have deleted it, from which bucket they have deleted. So the API call will have all this information in CloudTrail. And as I said, there is a theoretical limit on Amazon S3 in case if you are very extensively using S3, then you can talk to Amazon and increase the bucket limit. So that is also possible in case if you have a legitimate use case, they will listen to you and increase your bucket limit. This is a very fantastic feature, the read after write consistency in all regions. What it means is, let us say you are uploading 1,000 images to your bucket, and you are not sure out of 1,000 which one have been uploaded and which are still pending, because you are uploading it in multiple streams. So what Amazon does is, only after a successful write operation on its data center and multiple copies of the same object has been done in multiple data centers, it will allow you to read that object. So you will be sure that only when the upload is successful, only when Amazon is confirmed that the data object is received in full package, and then they were able to do the checks and everything is good, they will allow you to read it. So you don't have to worry about, okay, I have done it 10 objects or 1,000 objects, I don't know what is uploaded, what is pending, whether I can read all of them or not. If you get an OK prompt on your screen, if you're doing it through a GUI, or if you do it through a CLI, you will get a JSON object in return with an OK or a status code 200. If that is the case, that means that your object is good to be distributed to anybody. So that is what read after write consistency means. You will be able to read your object only after the write operations are completed. Finally, this is another security option that I kept it for the end. The reason is this is a relatively new feature and getting very popular for it. Say if you have a bucket and you want to allow that bucket only to access it from your corporate data center or corporate IP address. Today, that is also possible by using something called VPC endpoint. So you create a bucket, put all your objects, and write some rules saying all the incoming requests should be from this IP range, or all the incoming requests should be coming from this VPC or this region only. Then allow access to this bucket. So the VPC endpoint feature allows you to do that. So this is one of the key security features that has recently been introduced, because earlier all the traffic will be routed through your internet and your bucket is configured or accessible only from the internet. Today you can have private access to your bucket also through this kind of a policy. So that is what has changed recently. Moving forward, there are some more features. This is on the maintenance part of your S3 buckets and the cost part of it. The first one is there are two types of storage classes available in S3. One is the standard IA. Almost all the objects are, let us say there is a default class and it costs you about, let us say $1. And if you say that Amazon, I'm going to access these objects infrequently, I'm not going to access it every day, I'm not going to access it probably once in 10 days or once in 20 days. In other words, standard infrequent access, that is what this IA means. You are going to get a little cheaper for this. So this is like a $0.5. And again, if you're going to say that there are some objects in your bucket which you are not worried about losing it after 10-15 days, instead of 11 nines, I am happy with just 4 or 6 nines of availability. Then you can choose a service called Reduced Resiliency Service, and Amazon will allow you to pay something like $25. The numbers that I'm quoting here are representative, not the actual numbers. But in other words, the idea is you pay lesser cost for sacrificing some amount of resiliency in your buckets for the cost benefit that you get. So that is on the cost aspect of it. And another cost aspect of it is lifecycle policies Amazon gives you. I spoke to about the time duration. After 7 days, you don't want objects. You want to temporarily store some receipts or some kind of documents in your cloud storage. And after 7 days, you want it to be automatically expired. Then you write a lifecycle policy saying, for after 7 days, mark those objects for deleting. So you can mark it like as it is shown here, this object is marked for delete. And after 14 days, automatically your objects will be deleted and you don't have to do anything. So housekeeping or log keeping is automatic here. You configure a policy and it gets executed automatically in your account. You don't have to worry about anything else. And if you remember, I spoke about another example of 1,000 objects being uploaded to your account, and some of them have failed, and you are worried about having cost impact because some of them are failed and you don't know where those objects are. There is no easy way to identify them. So you can create another lifecycle policy which says that all my incomplete multi-part upload can be expired after this many days and automatically deleted. So that is also possible. Amazon gives you that flexibility to automatically find out the incomplete files and then delete them also. This we spoke about some time back. For paying a little bit more money, you can chunk up your uploads into multiple parts and upload them each as a separate stream, and Amazon will cache it and distribute it to the target data center or target region using their internal networks. So you pay a little higher money for this, but your upload gets more and more faster, and there is a more guarantee of your upload being successful because the data gets moved through Amazon network from your data center to your nearest Amazon data center, and from Amazon itself to the target data center. So slowly we will move on to the words of regions instead of having data centers. So we are going to see S3 buckets, what is an object itself and how the access of it looks like in the real world. So whenever I'm saying an Amazon S3 bucket, it is going to have different types of objects. And what an object is nothing but a file, and it can be a metadata describing the file also. What it means is, say, let us say you're storing an music album, a lot of MP3s in one bucket. So this object is said to be called with a bucket with objects. And you can have another bucket which will describe each of those movie music files. For example, who is the singer, who in which year the music album was released, and how popular it is in different ratings, and if it was part of some movie, what is the movie of it. So this is called as a metadata of that object. So when you have a bucket, you can have objects, which is a file itself, or you can have a metadata which describes a particular file in some other object. And most importantly, remember that each and every object key that you get when you're uploading an object into the S3 is unique. What it means is Amazon allows you to access these objects through an URL, and the URL is by default looks like this. You can construct it by any time. So the first this color, orange color that you see, doc is nothing but the bucket name. So if you're creating a bucket saying Valaxy Infotech, so the URL will be something like http:// Valaxy Infotech S3 Amazon.com, followed by the object key, whatever name of the object that you are creating. So this URL is almost standard, and any object that is getting uploaded will look similar to this. And if you give the permissions to the world read writable access, anybody can access your objects that is uploaded. This is a very key aspect of it, because a lot of people use Amazon S3 for doing static web hosting and content distribution. And this is one of the fastest way to distribute content very quickly to multiple people across the globe. I'll show you how to do that in a short while. We spoke about this event notifications. Whenever you are doing a put or post or a copy or upload or delete, these are nothing but HTTP verbs. Whenever you are doing a form submit button or something like that, that means that you are doing a put or a post. And whenever you are clicking on the delete button or doing a request, you can do a get also, but not in this case. But for event notifications, these are the different HTTP verbs which will trigger a notification for you. So let us say your object has been uploaded and event has been triggered. The event can be sent to multiple places. That is SNS notification saying you can get a mobile notification, or you can send an email notification, that is, as it is shown here, or as it is shown here, you can have a lambda function that is triggered. When we are saying lambda, what it means is you can have some downstream processing systems. You can take that object, processes it, and then send it to another bucket or return it back to the user saying, this is the latest processed image. So a lot of functions, think of it like the PDF resizing that we might be using in the cloud. Quite often we do that, or image resizing, which is a common use case for this kind of actions. Somebody uploads a 5 MB of image, it will be automatically resized to something like a 5 KB using a lambda function, and it will be returned back to the user once the processing is completed. So this is how event notification usually helps for people to process objects whenever it is uploaded. Versioning is another important feature that Amazon offers in S3. What it means is whenever you are developing a software or a particular Word document, you want to know what is the latest version of the document, or if some case the latest version of a particular document is corrupted and you want to revert back to the older version, then you need to have you need to know what was my different versions, when it was updated, and who updated it. So by a click of a button, Amazon allows you to enable versioning in your S3 buckets. And there are three different states allowed here in your buckets. That is default, which is unversioned. That means that you have not enabled versioning so far in your bucket. So once you go ahead and enable it, the status of the bucket will be changed to something called versioning enabled. So all the objects will be kept on tracking, as you can see on the right hand side, version 1.8, 1.9, version 2, and all those things will be kept on tracking automatically. And you don't see the different versions straight away, you just see the final copy. Just in case if you want to go to the older version, then you go ahead to versioning and then find out the older copy and download it, and then you process it. And after some time you say that I don't want versioning anymore because it is too costly for me, or if it is not necessary for me, then what you can do is you can go ahead and suspend the versioning. You cannot disable it. There is exam related question here definitely. Once you enable versioning, there is no disable here. You can only suspend the versioning after that. So you go ahead and suspend it, and after that versioning stops from that point onwards. So that is the versioning part. And Amazon recommends that if you have a mission critical data, say you have a golden image of your operating system with latest patches and binaries installed, then go ahead and enable versioning, because you are not going to have multiple copies changing multiple times. But inadvertently somebody changes it to a latest version and you find the latest version is not working, you can quickly go back and restore the older version if you have versioning enabled. So that way, it allows you to for quicker recovery and a faster restoration of services by enabling versioning. And another thing is the versioning automatically updates. You don't have to do anything on your own. You just go ahead and check the box which says versioning, and it happens automatically for you. So let us go ahead and have a quick demo on how to create a bucket and how to upload objects and what is the tagging and access logs. The access logs part is more on a practical aspect of it. Whenever you enable access logs, it collects the IP address, it makes the request and stores it in another bucket. So it would be more useful if you see it in action rather than discussing about it. So search for S3 and link will be there, and then click on that. It will take you through the S3 service itself. So what you need to look at immediately here is on the right hand side top corner where the regions are mentioned, you will see that it is global. That means that S3 service does not require region selection, meaning if you create a bucket and put objects in the bucket, that bucket URL can be accessed from any region if you have given the necessary permissions. So S3 is a global service and you don't have to necessarily choose the region for it. And in case if you want to reduce latency, Amazon allows you to choose the region, as you can see here. In my account, I have created a few buckets in the previous experiments or demos that I was doing. And so let us go ahead and create our first bucket now. So you see the big blue color button which says create bucket. So just go ahead and click on that create bucket, and it is asking me for the bucket name, and my bucket name should be unique across all the domains because the S3 service is global. Everybody is sharing the same namespace, so the names has to be unique. In other words, you cannot have, you and your friend cannot have the same bucket name. Of course, it's all isolated. The security is there, but the bucket name cannot have duplicates in Amazon S3. So let us say, for example, I want to say logs alone, and I just click on next. Amazon will give me a warning which says bucket name already exists. It will not allow me to create it. So we need to create something unique. So I'm going to do something like Valaxy Infotech S3 demo bucket. And then I'm leaving the region as US East Virginia. There is absolutely no difference. You can go ahead and choose any of the regions that is available here in the drop down list. There is no difference at all. And I don't want to choose the settings from any other bucket because this is the first time we are doing it, so we don't want to do anything. So click on next. Here are the different things. Remember we talked about versioning. So if you want to enable versioning, all you have to do is go ahead and click on this versioning option, and it will give you these two options, enable or suspend versioning. So let us go ahead and enable versioning here. Click on save. That's it. We have enabled versioning. So remember the access logging that I spoke about. So if you want to enable that, what you have to do is go ahead and click on this one and click on enable. Once I click on enable, it will ask me where do I want to store the logs. Is there a separate bucket already there? Then it will allow me to store it there. So it is when I click on enable logging, as you can see here, it is asking me what is my target bucket and do I want to prefix my options with anything. So it is asking me is there anything. So I have something called Valaxy Infotech demo buckets, which is just now we are going to create. I'm going to choose the same bucket and I'm going to prefix it with this option. So all my logs will have this prefix. Go ahead and click on save. And what I'm going to say here, tags is metadata to make it understand what this bucket is going to hold. So I'm going to say this is a demo bucket. It is absolutely a custom name and field. You can give whatever you want. If you're going to store movies, and I'm going to say bucket name is going and value is movies. Click on save. Object level tagging, you don't have to look at this right now. This is an, as it says, it's an additional cost. For each and every object, you can have additional level of tagging that can be done. This is very useful if you're having a lot of objects which are each of them are different characteristics and you want to identify them individually, then you will go ahead and do object level tagging. For now, let us leave that and click on next. So in this page, it is asking me what are the different permissions that I want to give. I am not going to touch anything here. I'm just going to leave it as default. I'm just going to click on next. So it is giving me a summary of all the options that we have chosen. The bucket name is Valaxy Infotech S3 buckets, and the region that we have chosen is US East Virginia. And we have enabled versioning, we have enabled server access logging, and we have created one tag as well. And the permissions are currently it is for only one user right now. So I'm going to click on create bucket. If you can see in the background for me, it's dull, but you can see here 1, 2, 3, about 7 buckets are there. Once I click on create bucket, it should increase to 8. Let me see if I can move the screen. No. Let me click on create. So it is taken into effect. It is going to come anytime now. So you can see here there is total of 8 buckets and 2 regions. And here is the new bucket that we created just now, Valaxy Infotech S3 demo buckets, and you can see here October 24th right now. So as of now, this bucket is not having any object, it is empty. If I click on this, you will see that this bucket is empty. Upload new objects to get started. So how do I upload objects? So you go ahead and click on this upload button, and it will bring up this window which will ask you where you want to upload the objects from. So click on add files. You will be familiar with this option. You must have uploaded a lot of things. So I'm just going to find some small images so that we can quickly upload them. These are all 3-4 MBs. I don't want to do them right now. I want to find something small. Okay, that looks good. This one is 24 KB. So let us upload 2 objects. So I just picked up 2. Click on next. Again, if you want to add permissions, it is asking me, do you want to add any permissions? I'm going to ignore this. I'm going to leave it as default permissions. Click on next. And it is asking me the storage classes. Remember, we spoke about standard, infrequent access, and reduced redundancy. As of now, let us keep it as default standard only, and encryption also default none. I'm not going to give any encryption also. So just click on next. And it's a summary of all the things that we have chosen so far. Click on upload. So in the bottom, I'm not sure whether you'll be able to see it or not. You can see here 50% successful, 1 in progress, and this page will automatically refresh soon. And we should be able to see both the objects that is getting uploaded. Surprisingly, one is only showing. What I'm going to do is hit on the refresh button here. Oh, there we go. We have both the objects uploaded successfully. So as of now, if I go ahead and click on this object, there we go. So you can see here, this is the link for that object. Oh, okay. I have opened the properties for that object, and if I just scroll down, you can see here the name of the bucket will be here, Valaxy Infotech S3 buckets, and then the object name. So this URL it can be used or shared with anybody so that they can access this object. As of now, I have not given permission to anybody or other than the bucket owner. So if I put it in my browser, it will not work. I'm going to put it in your chat window as well. If any of you have internet access, go ahead and click on it and try it. It should not work. You should be getting a HTML or a JSON error which says access denied. So this is how a security of this S3 is enforced here. Even though there is an URL for each and every object in your bucket, it does not mean that it can be accessible by the public. So in case I want to make this object public, what I do is I go ahead and click on this option which says make public. So Amazon does some background processing and automatically the file will be accessible through the internet. So anybody can try it and let me know whether they're able to open the file that I have pasted in the chat window. So we saw that versioning was enabled on this bucket. So if I'm going to click on this latest version option, it will say that this is the default latest version and it is of standard storage class. You can also see here the storage class is standard here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a text file and then upload it so that we can see the different versions available. And we also can see version changes also updated along with the different storage class. So let me just quickly go ahead and create a text file. So I just created quickly a small HTML file. I'm going to upload that HTML file now. Click on upload and add files. I'm going to say in my desktop, I'm going to search for S3 version demo HTML. Click on open, upload. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on next and make the permissions as world rewritable so everybody can access it. So this is where you can change it. So grant public access, public read access to this object. So I'm going to make everybody read on it by default and it gives me a warning. Everyone in the world will have read access. Do you want to do that? I do want to do that. So I'm going to leave it as it is. Click on next. And it is asking me, do I want to change the storage class? Do I want to change the encryption? So yes, I want, this object is not going to be accessed frequently. So I'm going to say standard infrequent access. And do I want to encrypt this object? I'm going to say yes, use Amazon S3 master key. I'm going to encrypt this object also, remember that, and then click on next. So upload. So we should see the another object created and uploaded here anytime. So we have our object ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this object to you guys so and see directly whether you guys can access it. I'm also going to open it in my browser window. Remember that I have not changed the permission by making it public. While uploading itself, I said make it public. So does anybody else are able to access this object? So now what I've done is I've just changed the version 1 to version 2 and uploaded a new object and I have uploaded it. Can I request anyone to refresh their screen and see whether the change has been reflected in their screen? Let me also go ahead and refresh the screen now. Okay, I need to make it public as well. This time I just uploaded it by default without changing the permissions. So let me just go ahead and make it public. So as you can see here, the version has been automatically changed. You don't have to do a lot of changes here. Automatically, the URL which you have might have distributed to your clients will remain the same for the same object. So you keep on refreshing your content. If it is a website or if it is a third party, you are given a link for the latest version of the package that you have created. You can keep on changing the object that is referred to by the URL without the people knowing whether it has been changed from version 1 to version 2 or not. So this is how sometimes you can use versioning when you're deploying content as well. It is not just for rolling back, but for static website or some kind of a package that you want to distribute, the latest version will be given at the URL and you can download it at any point in time. So let's go ahead and check the object itself. I'm going to open the properties for that object. Okay, here we go. Let me click on this. If you can see my screen, you see here there are two objects. The first one that we created was the standard IA, and then I uploaded one more object, which is the latest version, which is of a different storage class. So it is the point I wanted to show here is you can have multiple storage classes in the same bucket also. It is not that if you choose IA, it will apply to all the objects in your bucket. It can, one object can be of one class, another object can be of different class, and all of them can be version controlled as well. And also, if you remember, I initially enabled the versioning for, encryption for this bucket, this object particularly, and you were still able to access it even when the encryption was enabled. I did not share you the keys, but automatically Amazon, when it is storing that object into Amazon itself, it encrypts it, and then when you're requesting for that object, it will automatically decrypt it and send it back to you. So in other words, whenever it is stored on Amazon data centers, it is as written as an encrypted object. Nobody else can see that object. Only your account or authorized people can see that object. So in this case, I enabled public access, so that is why you are able to see those objects. So those are the different, we saw storage class, we saw versioning, and access logs. It will take some time for the logs to appear in my bucket. It should be appearing in the same bucket, but it will take some time for the access logs to appear itself. So let us look at some other properties for the buckets itself. So let me click on properties. Okay, this is for the bucket level properties. So we saw versioning, we saw server access logging. This will take some time for the logs to appear. It usually takes about 10-15 minutes or something like that. So hopefully by end of today's session, we should be able to have some logs. You guys also have clicked on it, so multiple IP addresses must be there. So in case if you want to host a static website in your S3 bucket, you can also do that. So all you have to do is go ahead and click on this option, and it will ask you whether you want to use this bucket to host a website. So all you have to do is click on this, and then it is asking me what is the index document or what is the home document that I want to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this object itself as my home object, the default object. And I don't have any error document as of now. Or what I can do is to make it an interesting demo, what I will do is I'll upload another object, and then we will configure static website. So just let us one moment. I just need to find where the object is stored. Yeah, let me upload index.html, and I also need to upload my error.html as well. Let me minimize this. Where is my objects? One second. This is going to be tricky. I want to create a folder because I am creating an index.html which requires an image. So I'm going to click on create a folder which says images also. So under images, I want to upload one more file, which is this one, this water drop jpg. So next, make it public access. Click on next, upload. So in case if any of you are having a static website or any of you are interested in a static web hosting, this is how you will do it. You create a bucket and then put in the necessary objects, the directory structure and everything. So what I have done is I've created an index file and I've created an images folder. I put one image, and finally what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one more error page also. In case somebody is accessing some file which is not in my bucket, they should not be given an ugly error message. I want to give them a nice message saying that that file is not available. So I'm going to upload an error file also. So I've written the error.html, and I'm going to say make it public as well. So once this is successful, let us go ahead and configure our static website. So we have our index.html, we have our error.html also. So what we do is next is go to properties and then go to static web hosting and click on this option which says use this bucket to host a website, and it is asking me what is my index document. So I have created an index.html, so I'm going to give this, and I've also created an error.html, and I'm going to type that. I'm just going to copy this URL so that I can put it in your chat window so you can access it once I click on save. So my static website is ready. So let me go ahead and put that URL that I gave you guys into my chat window or browser window. So I would like you guys also to try it from your browsers. So and let me know whether you are able to see what I am seeing on my screen. For deleting an object, all you have to do is select that object. Let us say I want to select this cloud small.jpg and the hotjobs.jpg and click on more. You will have this delete option and click on delete and click on delete. So that is how simple it is in Amazon to delete an object in your bucket. Very simple and very effective also. So if I go ahead and click on version, it will show me the different version tags also. Because remember in this bucket I have enabled versioning, so you can choose this option to show the version ID for each and every object itself. So these are the basic things or very powerful things, in other words, that you can do with S3. There are some more options in permissions and management. We will see them when we go deeper into S3 itself. But from whatever I've shown you, you should be able to confidently say that you are familiar with S3 objects. So are we good?
Is there any chance of seeing